This is GHK, an old fear, told again. My grandmother left me two things, a stone house in the highlands with a tin roof and a view down the whole valley, and a thin ledger with a soft cover filled front to back in her handwriting. The lawyer handed them over in the same envelope, as if they weighed the same. I sold the house in 11 days to a man who wanted the land more than the walls. The ledger I put in a kitchen drawer under the takeaway menus, and I did not open it properly for 4 months. I want that on the record. 4 months where I could have read it and did not. When I did open it, I expected accounts. She had run a small business her whole life, and I assumed it was stock or rent or the money people owed her. It was the opposite. Every page was a name, and next to each name a single line describing something she owed them. Bread during a bad season, a bed for one night, a ride to the clinic in the back of a truck. Not favors she had done, favors she had taken. 311 of them, numbered in the margin in her small square hand, running from 1961 to the spring before she died. Inside the front cover she had written one line to whoever came after her. Keep paying it forward. 1 kindness per name, in order, until the book is finished. I remember laughing at it alone in my flat, because it was such a grandmother thing to leave behind. No money, no instructions about the house, just homework. I closed it and put it back under the menus, and I did not think about it again until a Tuesday in October, when somebody knocked on my door at 7:10 in the evening and asked for me by my grandmother's name. He was an old man in a good coat, and he stood well back from the door, hands where I could see them, the way polite people did when I was a child. He said a name I had not heard in years, my grandmother's full name, the long version with her father's name in it. Then he said, I was told to come here, and he waited. I asked who told him. He did not answer that. He said he had come a long way, and he only wanted what was written down. And then he said the number. He said, I am number 1. I got the ledger. I did not decide to. Exactly, my hands went to the drawer while the rest of me stood in the doorway trying to work out what kind of scam this was. Name number 1, written in 1961, was a man who had given her flour on credit through a season when nobody had any. The line beside it said, 1 sack, never repaid. He waved me away. I looked up and told him that man would be 100 years old. He agreed with me. He said, yes, and then he said, that is why I came first. I gave him what the line said. A sack of flour is not hard to find in a city at 7 in the evening. I walked to the shop on the corner in my house shoes and bought the largest one they had, and he was still standing exactly where I had left him, well back from the door, not touching anything. He took it with both hands and thanked me properly, using my name this time, not hers. Then he said something I have thought about every night since. He said, 1, and he went down the stairs, and the light on the landing did not come on for him. Number 2 came on the Thursday. A woman about my age, soaked through, who said she had been walking since the rain started. The ledger said, shelter, one night, 1963. She did not ask to come in. She stood in the corridor and waited for me to offer. And when I did, she thanked me and slept in the chair by the window without taking her coat off. And in the morning she was gone and the chair was dry. Completely dry. I sat in it myself for a while, trying to make that mean something ordinary. They came in order after that. 3, 4, 5, never 2 in one night, never out of sequence, always at 7:10. I stopped going out in the evenings. I started buying things in advance, reading 3 or 4 lines ahead and keeping them by the door, a blanket, a tin of oil, bus fare in an envelope. It became a routine, the way anything becomes a routine, and for a while I told myself this was manageable. 311 names at 1 a night is under a year. I actually did that arithmetic. I actually felt relieved. The relief lasted until number 41, who wanted a ride to the clinic. The line said, "Truck, 2 hours, 1972. I do not own a truck. I do not drive." I explained this to a man standing in my corridor with his hat in his hands, and he listened, and he nodded, and then he simply stayed. He did not argue. He did not leave. He was still in the corridor at midnight, and at 3, and when I opened the door at 7 the next morning he was standing in the same place, and behind him on the landing were 2 more people waiting their turn. That is when I understood the order was not a courtesy. It was a queue, and the queue does not move until the debt at the front is paid. I borrowed a car. It took me 2 days and most of what I had, and I drove that man 90 minutes to a clinic that closed in 1988, and he got out and thanked me and said 41, and the 2 people behind him moved up 1 step. 2 days, 1 line. I went home and did the arithmetic again, properly this time, and the number I got was longer than the rest of my life. I tried to stop. Of course I tried to stop. I did not answer the door for 6 days. The queue did not knock and it did not shout. It simply grew. Down the stairs, out through the entrance, along the pavement. Patient people standing in the rain in coats from every decade of the last 60 years, not speaking to each other, not looking up at my window. My neighbor walked through them to take her bins out. She walked through them. She apologized to me the next day for the noise on the stairs and could not tell me what noise she meant. On the 7th day, I went back to the ledger and I read the last page for the first time. The final entry is not a name. It is her own handwriting, much later, much shakier, and it says, "I stopped at 208. I'm sorry, it is not a debt if you can finish it." Underneath that, she had written the only useful thing in the whole book. They are not collecting, they are being sent. Ask who is sending them, and the ledger goes to whoever answers. So I opened the door and I asked. Number 209 was a young woman holding an empty basket, and I asked her who sent her, and for the first time one of them looked directly at me. She said a name. Not my grandmother's, mine. She said I had sent her, and that I had been sending them since the day I put the book in the drawer and decided it was somebody else's homework. A debt you refuse to pay does not stay still. It goes out looking for people to bring back to you. The queue is shorter now, not because I'm paying it down, but because I have started writing new pages, taped into the back of hers, 1 line per person for everything I have taken from anyone since I was a child. Meals, lifts, beds, money I never returned. I am on my own page 400 and something, and I have not reached my 20s yet. My grandmother stopped at 208 because she understood what I am only now working out. The book was never a debt to be cleared. It is a record of how much of your life belonged to other people, and it is still open on the table, and there is a woman at the door with an empty basket, waiting to be given something to carry. That is the story for this episode. Another old fear from somewhere else in the world. Next time, subscribe and sleep well.